Hey, welcome to The Explainer. If you're gearing up for the Queensland bar exam, you know expert evidence is a high-stakes game. Seriously, get it right and you've got a massive advantage. But get it wrong and your whole case can just fall apart. So today, we're going to build your exam day playbook for the Uniform Civil Procedure Rules, the UCPR, so you know exactly how to handle expert evidence. Okay, let's just dive right in, because this is so important. The difference between winning your case and having your key evidence just thrown out, it often comes down to mastering a few critical rules. Getting this wrong, well, it's just not an option. So let's make sure your expert's report is not just persuasive, but absolutely 100% admissible. So we're going to start at the very beginning, at the foundation of all expert evidence, building a report that a court will actually look at. And this whole thing is governed by one foundational rule you have got to commit to memory. It's Rule 428 of the UCPR. Getting Rule 428 right is your first duty. Subrule 2 lays out a mandatory checklist, and I mean mandatory. This isn't just about making it look pretty, it's all about transparency. You see, the court needs to see the expert's qualifications to know they can trust them. They need to know all the material facts to understand what the opinion is based on. And they have to see the literature the expert relied on to check their reasoning. Oh, and this last part's crucial. If there's a range of possible opinions out there, the expert has to explain why they picked the one they did. That's what turns a simple opinion into rock-solid evidence. And this quote, it just brilliantly sums up the why behind Rule 428. The famous Makita decision makes it crystal clear that an expert can't just come down from the mountain and state a conclusion. No way. They have to show their work. They have to connect the dots between the facts of the case and their specialized knowledge to show exactly how they got to their opinion. An opinion without a clear path to get there is, frankly, worthless in court. And finally, we have Rule 428.3. Think of this as the integrity check. This declaration at the very end of the report is the expert's formal promise to the court. They're putting it on the record that their work is thorough, their opinions are real, and this is the big one, that they get that their number one duty is to the court, not to the person paying their bills. This is what separates a true expert from just a hired gun. Let's be really clear here. This is not just some bureaucratic box-ticking exercise. The courts have shown, in cases like Witham v. Hoff, that failing to comply with Rule 428 is not a minor slip-up. A non-compliant report can be, and often is, ruled inadmissible. And just like that, a central pillar of your case could be gone. Okay, so you've got a compliant report. Awesome. What's next? Well, now it enters the procedural timeline, and this part is governed by two more critical rules you need to have down for the exam. Rule 429 on disclosure and Rule 429A on the duty to update. Rule 429 sets the timeline, and you have to be all over this. As soon as pleadings close, the clock starts ticking. The plaintiff has to disclose their expert reports within 90 days. The defendant gets a little longer, 120 days. These are not suggestions, okay? They are hard deadlines you have to track meticulously. But you know how it is, right? Litigation is dynamic. It's messy. Facts change, new information pops up. So what happens when your expert who has already given you the report suddenly needs to change their opinion in a pretty significant way? This is exactly where Rule 429A comes in. It puts an ongoing duty squarely on the expert's shoulders. If their opinion changes in a material way, they have to issue a supplementary report. And that new report, it has to explain the change, it has to comply with all the rules from Rule 428 all over again, and you have to disclose it immediately. The whole idea here is to avoid trial by ambush. Everyone needs to have the expert's most current, most accurate view. Now we get to a really critical pretrial stage. This is where opposing expert views are really put to the test. It's the expert conclave, and it's a process that's directed by the court under another key rule for your exam, Rule 429B. So what's the point of a Rule 429B conclave? It's really about taking the experts out of that adversarial courtroom pressure. The idea is to get them to meet, usually without us lawyers in the room, to just talk. They figure out what they actually agree on, what they disagree on, and why. The goal is to save a ton of time and money at trial by finding that common ground beforehand. But here is the critical distinction you absolutely have to remember from Rule 429B. To make sure the experts can have a frank, open discussion, everything said during the meeting is privileged. It's inadmissible. They can speak freely. However, the document they created at the end, that joint report that outlines what they agree and disagree on, that is fully admissible and goes straight to the judge. And here is a huge exam point from the centrist case. A conclave is for talking about and refining the opinions that are already in their reports. It is absolutely not a chance to ambush the other side with brand new evidence or a whole new theory for the very first time. The court sees that as trial by surprise, and it's completely against the whole purpose of Rule 4290B. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's lock this all in for exam day with a rapid-fire recap of these rule numbers and what they do. Getting these numbers straight is a total game changer. Rule 428, that's your foundation, your content checklist. Rule 429, that's your timeline, the strict deadlines. Rule 429A, the ongoing duty to update. And Rule 429B, the conclave rules. Got 'em? 428, 429, 429A, and 429B. So when it comes down to it, mastering these UCPR rules is about so much more than just passing an exam. It's about your duty as a barrister to manage evidence with absolute precision, to serve the court with integrity, and to fight for your clients. The rules give you the framework, sure, but you are the architect of the case you're building. The real question is, how strong will your foundation be?